evening, everyone. Please, if you can hear me, you can just let me know by using your favorite emoji. All right. So, good evening once again, everyone, and I welcome us all to another session of webinar under Bezalel Design Academy. I'm so glad to have every one of us here, and we still look forward to others joining us as we proceed. So thank you for joining this evening, and I promise it's going to be an amazing time. But before we kickstart, I would just like that we have a word of prayer together. So, Heavenly Father, will bless you for another moment to learn, to be exalted in the name of Jesus. We ask that as we learn again tonight, we ask that you help us and that you grant us the grace to put into practice all that we'll be learning, and that at the end of it all, that you alone receive all the glory. For in Jesus' mighty name, have we prayed. Amen. All right, so welcome everyone once again. This is another episode of Bezalel webinar. We've had past series in the past. We had the Unlock Your Creative Potential, where we considered quite a number of concepts in design and the creative world entirely. And this is another one of its kind, but it comes with its own dynamics. And today it is a panelist section where we have amazing personalities, icons in the creative industries who are ready and set to, answer the questions that we have. And just before we go, I would just like to say a bit about Bezalel Design Academy for those that this is their first time of joining, or this is the first time of coming across our videos, maybe on YouTube or wherever you may be watching from. So Bezalel Design Academy is a design institution that is committed to raising and building creatives that stands out in the creative world, and we have quite a number of activities that we do to ensure that we give back to the community, we raise creative, we make people, make the best use of their creative potentials. We've had different campaigns in the past as well. And we also have a graphics design mastery course presently. You can check out our website for that. So, all right, thank you very much. So this is just a sneak peek into the values that we offer at Bezalel. And we've also had quite a number of impact projects in time past. The most common one is the TAIAC, which is turning addiction into a career. It is a campaign where we reach out to young adults, teenagers who has one addiction or the other to their phone, and we try to teach them how they can, turn these addictions into a profitable career in the creative industry. And we also have the Digi Transform, which the full meaning is digital transformation, and is a campaign that is aimed at sensitizing secondary school students about the impact of technology and how they can harness this technological advancement at the early stage of their career. So we also have quite a number of other impact projects that we've done, but this is just to mention a few. And tonight, like I said, it's a wonderful time again. And what we are considering this today is understanding the power of design identity, understanding the power of design identity. And it is a panel session, and we have amazing personalities that would be speaking to us tonight. We have Mr. Dennis Obaro, who is a UI UX designer, and we also have Mr. Martins Eze, who is a brand identity designer. So just shortly before we go into what we have for this evening, I would just like to go over their professional summary. So I'll be starting with Mr. Dennis Obaro. Mr. Dennis Obaro is a seasoned UI UX designer and a product strategist from Warri, Delta State. He's a graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University, and he has since built a strong reputation in the global tech and design space. He is the founder of Design Design Academy and Agency, a fast-growing creative hub nurturing the next generation of digital product designers. Before venturing into tech, Dennis was a pen artist, vocalist, and MC, experience that shaping his storytelling and eye for detail. Today, he channels that creativity into crafting user-centric, profit-driven digital experiences. Having led design and product team of over 50 people, Dennis is known for solving complex user problems while aligning with business goals. His deep grasp of marketing gives his design a strategic edge. Passionate, growth-driven, and relentless. Curious, curious. Dennis is a true builder and problem solver at art. So can we just jam our hands together as we welcome Mr. Dennis Obaro? So thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad to have you with us. And also, I would like to go to our second guest this evening. That's Mr. Martin Eze. Mr. Martin is a brand identity designer and a brand strategist based in Enugu, Nigeria. And since he transitioned fully into brand identity in 2022, he has worked with local and international startups to develop clear, strategic, and visual compelling brands. Because of his patient and collaborative approach, he places clarity at the heart of every project, believing that clarity drives confidence and great design. His process ensures that each client not only gets a distinct visual identity, but also gains a deeper understanding of their brand essence. He has partnered with Gedua and is currently working at 951 Agency and has contributed to the success of brands including Azamin Trek, Artfoam, and many more, respectively. And on his own, he has contributed to the success of Lupify, Splendor Analytics, Workshop 99, Arrow, Glow Formation, eNation, Autos, Rov, and Brute, amongst others, guided by the philosophy that clarity is everything and simplicity speaks volume. He continued to craft meaningful brand experiences that resonate and endure. So can we also jam our hands together as we also welcome Mr. Martin Eze. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. We are so glad to have you with us. And just before I welcome you up, then we start the panel session proper. I would like to take the first icebreaker for tonight's session. So, and our icebreaker here is your brand in 3 words. So, when we look at your brand, when we see your brand, what are the words that we can use to describe? So, let's take, for instance, we have Apple, and what we can say when we look at Apple is simple, elegant, and human. So maybe if you have a brand that you run or it's a personal brand, can you in 3 words just describe your brand? So you can as well just send that to the chat section. All right, so I want to believe that we are working on that. If you're also watching the video later on, maybe on YouTube, you can do well to just comment that as well. Because what I will do is that it helps you know if you've truly put some certain things into consideration when building your brand. And the second icebreaker that we have is the interface that you never forget. So let's take, for instance, that there are certain times that you visit some website or some brand, and then there's just a way that it just sticks that wherever you see it, you just know that okay, this is this brand. Let's take, for instance, anytime I come across Apple UI design, for instance, there's a way that it just resonates, and even without seeing the Apple logo yet, there's a way that I can just, have that notion that, oh, this looks more like Apple. So you can as well just think about those things. So very quickly, not to take our time, I'll just like to move straight on to the main discussion for tonight. So before we go into that, like to welcome our founder and the director at Bezalel Design Academy, Mr. 𝐏𝐚𝐧𝐞𝐥𝐢𝐬𝐭𝐬, and I'd like to bring him up to just welcome us and also just give us his goodwill message. So Mr. Anu can go on, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Good evening, superstars. That's who we had, Bezalel. Thank you again for joining us this evening. A special thank you to our guests. I believe after this webinar, you are no longer a guest here, so we'll get to do so much more together, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Dennis, Mr. Martin. Thank you so much for joining, and shout out to everybody on the call. Mr. Ayo, Mrs. Deborah, Mr. Steven, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. So we'll move right away into what we have today. Mr. James, over to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that, sir. So just before I go into the questions for our panelists, I'll just like for our audience, just to hear from our panelists. So I'd like Mr. Dennis to just go first, so you can just greet everyone and then go into the panel questions.
All right. Thank you very much to the founder himself, Mr. 𝐏𝐚𝐬𝐬𝐭𝐬, and then James. Thank you as well for following up and ensuring that I make it here. So I also want to just greet everyone here. I believe that we have more people that can join this. Being someone who hosts maybe spaces and things like this, I can tell you that a lot of people don't know how much work goes into ensuring things like this work, right? And the value that they would get from it. So if you have friends within the Bezalel Design Academy that are not here yet, you could just reach out to them and stuff like that. All right. So super excited. I believe this is going to be a very valuable space. And I'm sad for it. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that, Mr. Dennis. So very quickly, can we also have Mr. Martin?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening, James. I sincerely appreciate the fact that you gave me this opportunity to be on this platform, and with Dennis, actually, Dennis is like a superstar. Where I always see his work, and he always inspires me. Thumbs up, my G. So yeah, it's an opportunity and an honor to me to be here, and I can't wait to share everything that I have. All right, you're welcome, bro. So to share everything I have for the people that are available, right? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much for that, Mr. Martin. I believe that our audience as well are super excited to, see what we have for them this evening. So very quickly, not to waste our time, I'd just like to go into the panel questions for our panelists tonight. So the first question that I have here is when you hear design identity, what does that phrase means to you personally, and how would you explain it to someone that is just starting their design career? Let me just take it again for the audience as well. Since when you hear design identity, what does that phrase mean to you personally, and how would you explain it to someone just starting their design journey? So I'd like Mr. Dennis to go first.
All right. Okay, so in layman terms, because I don't even believe there's any exact definition, just how we define it, right? So I would say a designer's identity is a unique blend of someone's mindset or way of thinking. I started with that because at the very core, I think that design is actually a way of thinking. You cannot design beyond what you think or what you have up in your mind. So it also includes your design principles, right? So are you more of a minimalistic designer, or are you more of a designer that, lays heavily on, colors, text, and all that? And also, it also depends on your perspective, basically how you view the world, right? How you see things, right? Just I don't know if you guys watch animes, by the way, right? Okay, let me think of something else that's more relatable. All right. So for instance, the movie style of, say, Marvel Studios is very different from Paramount Studios, right? Or Disney. While Disney is a more, fun and, cartoonish, because they make a lot of cartoons, Marvel is a bit more realistic and intense, right? So it's just design identity is just basically your philosophy about design. So when people see your designs, or when people see even you as a person, because design identity is even beyond your designs, it goes down to you as a person, because you design who you are at core, right? I hope that makes sense. So I would just say that really that's what a designer's identity is, or if I'm going to answer that question, that's the approach I'll take. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that fantastic answer, Mr. Dennis. So I would just like to hear from Mr. Martin as well.
Okay, thank you so much. So when design identity comes with, like, come in the from the direction of style, Dennis have already said everything. But when it means like the totality of everything about a brand's visual, then it have to take a particular direction that, like, in brand identity, like, a lot of persons think that brand identity actually is just a logo, but it's just beyond that. It is personality brings into reality, right? So because many people, the logo is what everybody see first, like what everybody know, and many founder, many brand owners think that that's what brand identity is all about. But then it is actually the personality that is visualized for communication, and I have illustration for that, right? So like, we human being, we are made, we are not just the physical person. The physical person we see is for socialization, for communication, for interaction with our environment and our fellow human being. But the person, our making, is the soul of, like, the soul, which embodies the character, how we talk, our choices, how we make choices, and also it is affected by our experience and all of that. And all these things is what determines who you are actually. So when you're talking about brand identity, right, you are actually talking about the entirety of a brand, who a brand is. And when it now come into visual, that's when you say that it is brand identity. It's not just a logo, right? It is the soul of a brand communicated visually, right? This is how I would take this design identity, this question, if to go with it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that amazing answer, Mr. Martin. As we can see from the responses, we are considering the different sides to what this identity can mean. So maybe during the course of the panel session, if you also have questions or things that you need clarification about, you can just do all to leave it in the message section. And for those that will be watching the recording later on, you can as well just leave your questions in the comment section, or you can send it to our community group as it will be attended to. So thank you very much once again, our panelists, for that amazing answer. So moving on, this question is to Mr. Dennis. So in UI UX design, how does a designer's identity show up in their work without overshadowing the user's need. So I know there's a balance to that. So can you just talk a bit about the balance that comes with it? Because in the quest to, showing their identity as a designer at times, certain designers tend to go overboard, and then at the end of the day, it looks as though like their own preference or their way of approach to certain things has overshadowed the client's need, and it's can be quite imbalanced. So can you just talk a bit around the balance that there is to it?
All right. So one thing you must understand as a UI UX designer is, the meaning of UI UX is user interface and user experience. Notice that on both of them, there is the user, right? So one thing you must understand as a designer is, a UI UX designer, really, your user comes first. You are designing for your user. So whatever style you want to bring into the table must be, the user must be considered. So here's what I mean. Now, I personally feel that, especially if you're starting out as a newbie designer, right, you should take a more generalistic approach. Now, over time, more of your style will begin to, come up. I believe some in future discussions we might actually touch around that area. But your user comes first. So let's say, for instance, you're working for a food brand, yeah. Now, you might like the color purple, like it's just is your thing. Like most of your designs you use purple because you like purple. But in the case of working for a food brand, you cannot say you want to use purple because that is your style. You have to consider, what does this users want, or what appeals to the target audience. Now, are you aware that a lot of food brands use the color red and yellow? Because red and yellow invokes hunger, strong emotions, and urgency, which are things that every food industry wants. And that's why you notice that KFC uses red and yellow, Mr. Big's red and yellow, McDonald's red and yellow. I'm sure we can go on and on and on and on. So now you should know that these colors are not just random. They are things that they are trying to do. And that's why you notice a lot of fintech brands, they use blue, or nowadays they are using purple and even green, because blue signifies trust. And whenever you're working on a fintech product, you want to always give trust to a user, because there's something called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And number 2 of that needs is that every user wants to feel safe and secure. So as a UI UX designer, when you're working on your mobile app, I hope I'm not talking too fast. You can let me know if I'm talking too fast, because sometimes when I talk, I get very emotional and I move fast. Now, you must understand that you're trying to solve these needs that a user has. Now, what's the balance? The balance is first understanding your user. And that's why usually when you work, before you work on the actual design, you go through research, you do usability tests, qualitative analysis, you do user persona, because you want to understand, who exactly am I designing for? Now, personally, on most of the designs I make, I like to make my designs fun, because I feel like mobile apps should be fun to use. It should be interesting to use. There's this book called Don't Make Me Think, and I advise you, if you're a designer, you should read that book. When people are using your app, they should forget their brain. Like, it should just be so easy to use your app that they are not even thinking at all. So my personal identity and style is, I like my designs to be fun. However, depending on who I'm designing for, there is a limit to how fun I can go. So if I'm designing for kids, I can go all out with my font style. If I'm designing for, say, adults in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, now I have to be a bit more refrained, because the average adult, once you get to 60, your eyesight begins to dim. Now you want to make sure that you're designing with fonts that are large enough for the elderly people to see. But at the same time, you can also incorporate font, but your font should be subject to the target audience you're designing for. So essentially, everything I'm trying to say really is, you can bring in your style, but it must be constrained by the users you are designing for. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that wonderful answer. I must say, I had some things that even me myself, just paying close attention to it and actually thinking about it, it does make sense. So thank you very much for the balance. So moving on, Mr. Martin. So from your brand identity perspective, how do you help clients understand that their brand identity isn't just logo, but it is something much more deeper, most especially considering this I know the goal is not local. We are building for international audience and international clients, but then just for someone who is just starting out on their journey and maybe their primary clients are still Nigerians, and there's just a way that they can be told at time as to on explaining to your clients the main motive behind their brand identity. So can you just give us like how you help them to how you explain to them that the identity is not just the logo, but then it's something much more deeper than that?
Okay, yeah, that's a wonderful question, right? So the thing is, when a client approaches, and it is not something surprising that when ideas pop in, some business idea pops in somebody's head, they think of, okay, let's get a logo and get going, something like that. Most Nigerians are like that. But then when they approach me, I have a process like that I used to onboard my clients. And then there are questions I ask that they need to answer. First of all, if somebody like this, somebody that just jump up and say, hey, let's get a logo for our brand before we continue, he found that I just jump up and say this, he might have not like worked research about the industry he's into, the target audience, like their emotion and everything, the things that he wants people to perceive from his brand. Then when I asked them these questions and they can't really answer it, then we went back to strategy. This is how I get to know what, like, that these people haven't done their work. They're just there. They just jump on this thing just that because they want to start something quick. So when they can't provide the answers I need, I will just advise them, educate them on what they should do and how they should approach this. Then on that process, they start to understand that, hey, we actually have people that we are designing for. We have target audience. We have people that we're not just designing, we're not just decorating something. We have people that we really want to we really want to communicate to. And then that way we can now start to make research and all of that. But then, going back to this, their price will increase definitely. But then we are now working on the strategy together. But if they can provide this thing, I already know that, okay, these people actually know what they are doing, and they know that actually they are not just making a product or building a brand, they're actually building it for people, and they know the emotions that they want to actually express. Then we can, once they provide the right answers that I need, I can then use it to communicate what the brand stands for visually. That's how I educate them. Actually, that's how I balance everything and get them to understand what they should do. Right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Martin. All right. So thank you very much for that amazing answer. So very quickly, I'd just like to direct my next question to Mr. Dennings. And the question is that, do you think every designer needs a recognizable signature style, or is it versatility more valuable in today's market? Like, do you think every designer has to have that signature style that, okay, anywhere they see this, they can, attribute that design? As a matter of fact, I think there was a time that something happened where a designer was trying to claim the ownership of a particular font that, okay, was the first to use it. I really can't say much about the thing that led to the whole argument. But do you think every designer needs a recognizable signature style, or is just versatility more valuable in the market today?
Okay. It actually depends, yeah, on what these designers want, what the designer wants exactly. So, I've seen people that they have their style is very unique. Like if you see this design, you know that and this guy do. In fact, before I transition to UI UX, there was one guy that I really respected. When you see his design, like you know that it's this guy. And when clients are looking for that kind of design, they go to him. It's the same thing as drawings. Like, okay, let's use art direction for instance. There are some animes or some cartoons you will see, you will just know that this thing is a Disney cartoon. So what that does for you is it helps you stand out. Sorry, I'm using movies, but I just feel like it's a very very relatable. Now it helps you stand out, right? It helps you people know that this is Dennis did this design. So that's the pro of that one. That is a good thing. Now the question really is which one I prefer. I would say I prefer you being able to get to a point where you can actually stand out in your design language. Of course, you'll be able to do the generalistic design, but the sweet spot happens when you have a design style that is unique to you. Because when you are a generalist in terms of design identity and style, you can be replaced by anybody. Almost everybody else can do what you can do. But the moment that you hone yourself to the point that you become a master and you form a style, and that's what Malcolm Gladwell was trying to talk about in the book Outliers, where he propounded something called the 10,000 hours rule. It simply says that after 10,000 hours of doing something, you become a master at that thing. So mastery comes when you have now been able to hone your style. So for instance, whenever you see the work of Michelangelo, his sculptures, you know that this was done by him, or Leonardo da Vinci, the paintings, you know that okay, this is unique to him, right? There are two artists that I follow on Instagram. I used to draw before, by the way. Now, one of them is Oscar. Oscar uses pen to draw, and the other one is Arinze. Arinze uses pencil. Both of their works are very unique. Now, if I want to make a portrait, it just depends on what I want. If I want somebody that will do pencil, I would definitely give it to Arinze. If I want somebody that does with a pen very well, I'll give it to Oscar. So that only happens when you're able to build a style that is unique to you, which is it can be a minimalistic style, it can be something that is a splash of color, right, and very creative all over there. But I would advise that your end goal should be that you have a style that is unique to you. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that answer. I'll say you answered the question quite well. So thank you very much for the answer. So to Mr. Martin, so how has the Nigerian creative landscape shaped your understanding of what design identity means in the context that we're discussing?
All right. So yeah, you know, Nigeria is Nigeria is actually a country with a variety of culture and people that speak in different language and all of that, right? So when you talk about brand identity in Nigeria, you know that you really need to design, like, let me get the question, sorry.
Yeah, like
How
how the Nigerian creative landscape has shaped your understanding of what design identity means. Maybe like starting out as an identity designer, as a brand identity designer, there was an understanding that you have about what it means, but then going into the Nigerian creative landscape, there are like a lot of things that would just conflict at the point. So how has it shaped your understanding of what design identity truly means, like over time?
Okay, so as I was saying, Nigeria is a country with different culture, right? Though I sincerely appreciate the fact that we are actually being we are getting this enlightenment, right? So when you are designing for a light, it's easy. Just do something that is minimal that can actually get to them. But then when you are designing, like talking about brand identity in Nigeria, it have like there are a lot of things about it for designers and brands too. So for me as a designer, I've like the landscape have shaped me into like being like resourceful, right? You really to thrive here as a brand designer, you really have to be resourceful. You really have to know your own news, right? Because I mean the buzzword that will follow you when you post nonsense, right? Because a lot of persons don't even like they don't know how to give constructive critics. So the buzzword that will follow you when you post your work we even make you to actually work hard to be better, to stand out, to do things that like people can see and appreciate, right? And people can actually understand when your design, like when they see your design, especially the in the terrain of like Nigeria. You understand? I don't know whether you get what I'm saying.
Yes, yes, I get it.
All right, all right. Am I making, did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, you did actually, because Nigerian creative landscape can be a whole lot at times, different people, different perspective to certain things. So thank you very much for that answer. So very quickly, I'll just like to juggle a bit into a side of your personal journey and then evolution. And I would like to direct this question to Mr. Dennis. So, what did your first year of professional designer look like, and how different was your design approach then compared to now? So you can just give us like a bit of insight into that.
All right. When I started out as designing, I was more focused on myself. I started as a graphic designer, right? Then from graphics to brand identity to UI UX. So in the graphic phase of my design career I was just focused on myself. I just wanted to create stuff that I liked. So it was all about me, right? But as I began to develop, I realized that it's beyond me. It's what people, it's the people that it's for. So back then I would design a billboard, I would just use some text and all that. But over time you realize that you need to ask yourself, so let's assume Lagos now. How long does the average person spend in Lagos traffic? Right. So this design you have done now, is the person, can the person scan this design in 5 seconds? Right. So got to a point that we now started having a lot of why to our designs. So let's try. Can you look at this design in 5 seconds and see everything that you need to see? If not, then that design is not working. It may look good, it may be very nice, but it is not doing what it's meant to do. So over some time, I started designing with the intention. What is the intention of this design? How do we know that, or how can we say that this design has been successful? Now, when I started my design career, I used to ghost clients, I will not lie, and it's a mistake that a lot of designers make today. Recently, I paid somebody to work on a video for me, and I needed the video to present in church on Sunday. I paid him on Thursday or Wednesday, and I asked him, "Can you do this?" He said yes. You'll be surprised that he sent me the video on Tuesday morning, right? So somebody like that, and sometimes we pray that, oh, give me more jobs, or and you realize that many times it's just like, I don't want to use the word that is in my head, but very funny mistakes that we make that will never make a client come back to you. I know this discussion is not about clients, right? But are you aware that negative things move faster than positive? It's normal. When you see people dragging someone, it's usually because it's negative, but people really, you really see a tweet praising someone for too long, right? The same happens with clients. You do your best job for a client and they like you, but the day you make a mistake, they will tell everybody that this guy is a bad designer. So then I was not so focused on business needs of my designs, right? I wasn't focused on how I would really understand what the client was saying. It's something, when you have conversations with clients, I advise that you do less of the talking and more of the listening. The client and the users are the people you're designing for. So listen, I remember I was working on a project for a lady. She said that she saw a vision of the logo and she wanted me to create the logo. In my head, I'm like, now you see the vision, not me see the vision. But you know, to show you how big I am for with trying to please my clients, I prayed about it. The first logo I designed, she saw the logo, she was like, no, this is not it, this is not it, and she knows what it is, but this is not it. So I actually prayed to God about it, and got inspiration, and I designed the logo. When she saw the logo that I did, she started crying that this was exactly what she saw. Now, are you aware how divine coincidentally it is for you to design exactly something somebody saw, right? But I said all that to say that I am now very much particular about pleasing my clients. So I tell my clients I have a 99.9% success rate. The remaining 0.1% is because nobody is perfect or 100% perfect, right? And that is because at heart, I am trying my best to please my clients. I have worked on jobs whereby I stayed up all night. I did more than I was paid for. But I did all that because I wanted my clients to be pleased. And I want to say this to designers, especially those of you up and coming, yeah. Never do a job that you know you cannot give your 100. Never do a job you cannot give your 100, because nobody cares if especially jobs that the client prices you down. If you know the money is too small, don't take it. But the moment you take that job, give it your best. So these are just some of the things that okay, one thing I always got right from the beginning, I'll be very honest with you, was I always did a lot of mood boarding and getting inspiration. If I want to work on a landing page today, I probably will get like 100 or 50 or 30 or 20 landing pages inspiration before I work on one of them, right? Because there is nothing new under the sun. I will advise you guys to read this book by Austin Kleon. It's called Still Like an Artist. It's going to help you know how to use other people's designs and inspiration to bet your own uniqueness in your own design. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. You answered really well. Just this is just by the way actually, and it's just like a follow-up question for the question I asked. So since we are talking about the professional journey and evolution, so talking about clients, there are times when clients tends to give certain specifications as to the product requirements, and as a designer, you try to find inspiration, bring something together, and then you start designing. And at the point in the maybe course of the design, it can even be at the end. I think the issue that happened that prompts the question, it was at the end that the clients now starts coming up with things like, oh, I think we should go this other route and other things, and they don't want to ideally for things like that, it's like a redesign and there has to be like some sort of agreement and all those things, but then the client insists on the fact that you're the one that did not do your job well and you have to do whatever it is that they want you to do, something like that. So I don't know if you've experienced something like that in the course of your career, and how would you advise young creatives to handle such things by just to ensure that they maintain their reputation, because clients can be funny at times. They can go the extreme way. Meanwhile, they are the one at fault. So how do you advise that they go about things like that, just to make sure that they handle it the professional way and they also maintain their reputation? I don't know if you get my question.
So if I get you correctly, you are saying what happens when a brief was agreed upon and you started working on the brief, almost even done with it, and the client comes and changes everything, and the client is now saying that the reason why it didn't go well is because you didn't do your job well. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Like the client is insisting that he's not the one at fault. Meanwhile, he's the one.
All right. So a simple agreement or contract would have solved that problem. So what I do is, before working with clients, sometimes I don't do it, let me know, like, because I have other ways of doing it. But the official way is before working on it with a client, always always have a contract. So for instance, I'm sure Martin will know this as a logo designer, right? For instance, there is something called number of revisions. What does revision mean? Revision mean you have worked on a logo design or a design, and the client says that, okay, I want something different, So that's what you call a revision. So revisions are not unlimited. There's a limited number of revision a client should be entitled to. So what you do is you tell them that, okay, ideally it's usually 3 rounds of revisions, right? So once it exceeds 3 revisions, they have to pay extra. That's number one. I remember working for a client, and I was just doing many logo that day. I think I was just very happy that period. And then he kept on saying, no, this is not it. He wanted more. And I told him that if he asks for any more design I do, he will have to pay extra. He just went to pick one of his designs and said, I actually like this one. I like this one. Because it's human nature to take. Once you give people, they will want to take. Yeah, there's this slang, say, I give you hand, you won't take my full body, something like that. Now, people want to take, they want to use you. But once there's a proper contract to things, then you can defend yourself from things like that. That's number one. Number two, always get feedback early. Now, I see designers, you give them a logo, they will just ghost, they will do everything, only for them to come to present it, and you now say that this is not what you wanted in the first place. So what I usually do is I first present my sketch to the client. So once the client likes it, then I go on to presenting, vectorized format. Then the client likes it, then I go on to doing the branding and all that. And after that, so you take the clients along the way. So if there's an issue, it can be spotted on time. It has happened to me before that I did everything only for the client to say that this is not what he wanted. So always get feedback early, have a proper contract, right? So I believe that. And another thing you can do is always receive part payment before you start a work. The reason is when you have done sufficient work for a client and the client is not budging, you are allowed to walk away with that part of money that you have. I promise you, except the client does not pay you, that's when the client can just ghost. But once he has deposited something, the client will be willing to put in the work to make sure it works. And at the start of every project, please and please, I beg, ask a lot of questions. Do not start designing without knowing exactly what the client is what the client wants. See, ask so much questions, because many times what happens is that the designer yourself, you don't have enough clarity on the project you are working on. And that's why sometimes you can make that mistake. So, I mean, I hope this is sufficient enough to help out with that question. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that answer. Yes, it's quite explanatory enough. So moving on to Mr. Martin now. I know that starting out your brand identity journey, you'd have different times when you had to redesign your own brand or portfolio, because one of the things that has to stand out as a brand identity designer is your own personal brand. So have you ever had to redesign your brand and portfolio, and what did that process teach you about identity? Can you just share with us?
Okay. So yeah, in as much as it might be disappointing, I would say that I've never redesigned my portfolio. Currently, my portfolio is on Behance, and then I use Behance and I use Instagram. Then also sometimes LinkedIn. I post my work on other socials, but you see, Instagram and Behance, this is where I post my work. And I've never think of maybe deleting anything or making it, because I believe that, see, anybody that wants to work with you, people want to work with somebody that is human, that feels human, right? I see people when they post on Instagram, when they start to make a certain level of progress in their design journey, they start to delete their old design. If you go to my Instagram, I started actually with flyer designs, and I started with my phone. I was even showing my process. You see me designing on my Pixel lab that year, so around 2020, 2021, right? So I mean, you will see all these things, and you will see where I started improving, where I changed entirely to brand identity and all of that. You see all of this, because I mean, I've gained somebody actually gave me a project, because you see that you are trying. I've been watching you over time, and I see that, see, you are improving your skill. For a while now, I've been looking at you, and I see that you are really, really, really improving. You are putting in the work. Can you handle this particular project for me? So you see that type of thing now. So I've never really come and say, let me redesign something. No, if you go to my Behance, the first project that I did I presented on Behance is still there. And if you keep scrolling, you will see how much improvement that I've made over time, right? So the only thing I can say is that I have tried designing a logo for myself, right? I wanted to do personal branding thing, following what every other person is doing. I mean, it was a lot of things. I couldn't just do it the way the way I do other projects, I handle other projects. I will always, once it gets tough, pushing through will be hard. I will just keep it. I can handle it next time and all of that. And that's what happened to a lot of designers when we are trying to actually work on our portfolio and on many other things related to us. We always feel like there's always time. We can always do it next time and all of that. Or sometimes we get busy, very busy, that we can't even attend to these things. But trust me, for me, right, every project I post, right, like every case study I do and put out on Behance is better than the last one, right? So you must see that this person is actually moving on, is actually improving every fucking day, right? Sorry for using the F word. So I'm improving every damn day, right? So that's how I do my thing. I didn't like come and like to redesign or do anything. I don't do that. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope this
All right. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, you answered the question quite well. So thank you for that. Mr. Dennis actually had to drop off the call, said he has another engagement by 5. So for the remaining question that he has, we'll see how we can just get that across to him and then get his response. So moving on, Mr. Martin, there's this thing that there are different design trends, right? And as a creative, there are times that you are always quick to jump on those things. So is there like one design trend that you initially jumped on, but then you later realize that it doesn't align with your authentic design voice?
thank you so much for that question, right? Sincerely, I'm not somebody that design with trend. I don't follow trend, right? Even if I'm working on a personal project, right, I try to do a lot of research about the industry and do that thing that my research, like for my research, my instinct says that it is right. I don't jump on trend because trend don't last. It is temporal, right? So I try to design with purpose and clarity. And you find out that when you actually design with purpose and clarity, it is hard to meet that, like to combine things with trending stuff, right? And whenever it's even like even clash, like let me say what you think will work for this brand is trending, right? Even when the trend ends, because you are the design decision you took is on purpose, there's no need to go and rework on it again by the brand or anything. That will stand, and it will stand a test of time. It will be used for a very, very, very long time. I don't know whether I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much for the answer. Okay, since this is just like a follow-up question for the answer you gave. You said you don't like, following trends when it comes to designing, that you like to start from scratch. So can you just walk us through how does your design process looks like? Like, are there like practical or actionable steps that you take when you're trying to come up with a design per se, or you're trying to, build something around a brand identity? So what is that process like for you?
Okay. So yeah, I will be lying if I say that I have a perfect design process. Like I don't preach it at all. I don't preach it at all. But then you see, when there are things, there are core things that I must do before I start designing, working on any project, right? Even if it is passion project, right? Why do I even mention passion projects? I mean, passion project is what actually made me start to see clients. I mean, if you're a designer, you should try to start working on passion projects and putting it out there. I mean, what is one of the passion projects that I worked on years ago that made me, even till today, the people that found me through that project is still referring me to other persons, and today even the project that I'm still on is still from their lineage, from the lineage of that project that I got this particular client that I'm still working on. So yeah, what am I saying? I have things that I do, but they don't come line by line. I can't say that they come line by line. The first thing I do is that we must have a brief that we are working with, right? must have a brief. Then I must understand in fact, even when I'm on the call with a client, right, trying to understand the brief, because I have actually read a lot of case study, I've watched a lot of designs, like I view design, I check other designers' work like all the time. Because I've done this, idea will start coming to my mind, right? Ideas will start coming to my mind. If this guy is talking about this industry, I've actually worked with this industry, or I've actually saw a case study about this a brand on this industry. Don't you think that this will work this way? My brain will be like functioning that way, because one, I understood the brief, and the client is actually talking about something that I already know about. I've read a lot of case study, right? So now, once we are done with the brief, I will do my personal research on the industry if it is necessary, right? Sometimes I don't do it immediately. Like, I don't do it immediately. I just leave it. I just leave everything and go and flex. Like, forget that I have projects. But then in that process, there's something is happening in my mind. I'm actually thinking, so that when I come to start designing, I already put up a lot of things. I just want to confirm that all these things that is in my head that I'm putting down on my design cover we really work, right? So from briefing to meeting with the client to like make sure that we are on the same page, to then organizing a mood board. You see, I don't do mind mapping, but a lot of other designers do it, right? A lot of other designers do mind mapping and all over, but I don't do that, right? But if it comes to it, sometimes I try to do it, but I don't call it mind mapping. I call it generating brand nouns, related words, right? And sometimes I even involve the clients, because it depends on the time the clients have. But and I try to make the client like be part of the process, so that at the end he will just accept the outcome, right? Because he feel like he's among the person that created this, right? So I try to bring them in here, either when we are organizing the mood board, or when we are doing the brand now stuff, right? I bring them in and get them to chip in what they know about it, and then once they do it, we discuss about it, and I use it to just start sketching, choosing colors and all of that, doing all those pieces, the presentation. And at the end, once you present the this thing, they will be like, whoa, 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 because I mean they contributed in the process. They know like this is actually something that I am part of. And people actually they tends to, just like what Dennis said, like designer will just ghost a client after the first payment and go and do everything from beginning to the end. When you now present it, the client will feel like, I'm lost, right? I don't know what you did, all of that. And he can actually reject that project. But if you actually took him like every step, he's aware about what you're doing, he's part of it, he's doing all these things. At the end, the whole thing will not be strange to him or her, and he will not have option than to accept your design, the design you are selling to him or her. So yeah, so my process basically, even though it's not straight, some can come first, some can come last, but I must do the briefing section, the call session, then mood boarding. Sometimes I do mind mapping, sometimes I don't do it. And I just research about the target audience, the industry. Then I can now know because with that I will now know the type of color, the typography that to use for them. And after that, I will now start to sketch my logo, sketch, and this is the piece that I really love. I will start to sketch, do a lot of sketch. I can do literally like, let me say, 20 to 25 sketches. Then I will vectorize the ones that I feel like is very okay. I will just do 3. I don't present more than 3. If you present a lot of options, they will still ask for more. Sometimes they ask for more. So I've worked with a client that actually her brother referred her to me. So, and then when I present like options to her brother was like, why will you present options to her? Just choose one as the designer, because the guy already trusts me to do something like is very, like if you present a lot of options to her, then she will like to more and more and more. And that's how it's. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Give me a minute yet, please.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much for that answer. I say you answered really well, and you've even touched a bit in some of the follow-up questions that I want to ask. So I just want to say this again for everyone that is on the call. If you have a question or whatsoever it is, please start jotting it down now, and you can as well send it to the chat section so that we can take them once we're done with the panel questions. So Mr. Martin, are you with us now? Okay, all right. So while we wait for our guest, I want to believe that we all have
Hello?
yes, are you with us now?
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
with you now.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So as I was saying, I want to believe that we are all documenting one or two things down from the answers that our guest has been giving. So do you still want to add to the previous question, or can I just move on to the next question?
Okay. To just summarize, right? So I want to state it again. I must do the briefing, right? The briefing. Normally, what I do is that I have a questionnaire. I will just serve it to the client. Actually, is a Google form, so they can just click the link, fill it up, and send it to my email, right? So that way is just very seamless. They don't have to print anything or any. They just have to answer the question straight up. You get. Then I'll and then have a call with them, with the client, right? Go on a call with the client to make sure that what he feel is actually what in the form is actually what he mean, right? And make sure that we are on the same page, right? Sometimes they choose different, they don't even like, some clients will just choose anything in the type of logo you want. They will choose word mark or monogram without knowing actually like what that means. They won't go and research. So, and when you now work with that, and they need an icon for their brand, they'll be like, what did you do? I'm not seeing my what is this what I pay for? Something like that, right? So you have to really be sure that what he said in the form he filled is what he actually mean, right? So now after the call, then you can gather mood boards. From mood boarding and brand noun or an adjective listing, like I do involve the clients if the clients have time, right? So if you have time, I do involve them in this process, because this way, when you end up with a particular design direction or color, they feel it, they know that they are part of it, they followed, they were part of those that were making decisions. So at the end, it will not be very strange to them. Like it's almost like this is what we are expecting at the end. Then you just blow their mind with the extras that you will do, and they will just buy into it. They will just accept the project without any delay. This way, I rarely get rejected this thing projects. And the idea now is this thing happened, like I learned this thing from last year project I handled earlier last year with one white guy like that. So I designed something, he wasn't feeling it, but when I took him in the process, like he was part of the whole thing, he still accepted the concept that is closer to what I did earlier, right? So, and since then I've been doing it with any serious client that I have. And that way we arrive at a like happy ending or something like that. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I must say you really answered, and you were quite detailed in your answer. So thank you very much for that answer. And I was saying the other time that you touched upon some of the follow-up questions that I wanted to ask, but just like close up on that aspect of the design process and everything. So are there like tools or software that has become so integral to your design process that they are more like a part of your design identity, just to use that?
Okay, yeah, there are two that I use. See, I will say it again, like, and again and again, even in front of our president. I'm not a brand designer without Behance, right? So Behance provide a lot of case study that you see how people think, you know, like you read how people approach problem solving in design, right? And I advise designers to always read case study. Like, look for good designs. Most of the things I know today, I didn't learn them from any mentorship class or anything. Like, I literally learned it from looking at designs, trying to know why did they do this and why did they do that, right? Reading case studies. So it's good to always feed your eye with good design. That way you start, like, so even when you haven't, once they are presenting something to you, you're already thinking of how to solve that problem, even when you haven't really dig deep into it, right? And when you now settle down and want to process anything, you just go ahead and start solving the problem straight up. It will help you. That's the difference between a professional designer and a beginner. Beginner don't like reading case study. They don't like looking at, like, they don't spend their time like viewing good designs. They just want to do design and go. They want money, they want clients, and that way they don't know that they are not building themselves, they're not building their skills, right? So Behance is one. Pinterest too is, I have a lot of mood board in Pinterest. Same on, if you go to my Behance page and go to the mood board section, you will still see a lot of them. Almost sometimes, if I have projects, I'll just name that particular mood board the name of the project, and I start adding a lot of them to it. So when I want to, if I have anything to check in, I'll just go and check how to present everything. So, and also I use Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop for presentation and a mock-up and all of that. So these are basically the tools that I use.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. I think some of those tools are like good for every designer. So thank you for just walking us through the process. So now talking about being a creative in the Nigerian ecosystem, there are certain context and cultural identity that come with it. So when working for Nigerian businesses, um how do you help them to compete locally while they still remain globally relevant? Now, where am I coming from? It's that there are certain things that works in Nigeria, but then if we check on a global scale, it's not so relevant. And both sides has to be put into consideration when you are building a brand identity for a business. So how do you help them compete locally while they still remain globally relevant?
All right. So in the simplest way to answer that question is to say, maintain their authenticity while you design for global audience, right? Like, I don't know, design, how will I put it? Is that the right way? Okay, let me explain, right? So you are not actually like removing all the things about Nigerian stuff and all of that. No, you put them into consideration. You know the audience and all of that. But then when you are designing, you want them to be also globally presentable, right? So you know that complex design, highly complex design won't work on a global scale. So you make it minimal. That doesn't mean that you forget about the whole thing about Nigerian audience, right? You already know the people you are designing for. Now, when you are designing, you already take the decision that this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it because I'm designing for this particular audience. But then when you are now doing that design, put in minimalism, right? So because complex logo doesn't, I don't know if a logo is too complex, it doesn't make it to anywhere. There's this idea of 3D logo where they will everybody is just mocking up their logo on wall and all of that, and a client will be like, "This is what I want." No, that's not it. For if you want your brand to go global, right? So what you do is you know the thing that the Nigeria audience really wants, right? And then when you are not doing your design, you keep it minimal, so that when when it is viewed from global perspective, it is very, very legit and it stands out. And then when it comes, it still have the authenticity of what that will please the Nigerian audience. I don't know whether I answer your question.
Yes, you did actually. I think the major thing revolves around the authenticity, and that's one thing that most designers tend to like miss. So thank you very much for bringing clarity and also balance to that as well. So thank you very much for that answer. And so still on the Nigerian context and then the cultural identity as well. What opportunity exists now in Nigeria for designers to build design identity that can compete internationally? Because there's a saying that if you're born in Nigeria, like life is already leading you like 1-0, something like that. So what opportunities do you think exist for Nigerian designers to build identities that can compete and position them for global and international opportunities?
Okay, it is almost the same answer, right? Why did I say that? See, one thing that happened is that there's one thing that the problem is that, see, we all are actually trying to like, okay, imitate the foreigner, want to be somebody. See, a lot of them are actually out there, right? You have to maintain your authenticity. Just carry that your authenticity out, right? To the global, and then of course, you know that you're designing for global audience, right? You want to be recognized globally, right? But don't stripe off who you are, right? You know, one thing is, when I was starting, I have faced a lot of rejections because I'm a Nigerian, right? So clients will come to your DM and was like, "Hey, I see what you do. Where are you from?" They will first of all ask, right? And then when you say that you're in Nigeria, they will just ghost you. There's no reply again for you, right? Something like that. I know that's where you're going, but then let me tell you, right? Even as that, I never changed. Most of There was a community that I was in. Most of them, if you go to their Behance page, they changed their location to um some of these cities in US, London and all of that. So they just changed it, but I never changed my own. People that will believe in, say you will lose clients, but just be consistent and authentic, right? People that will believe in you will come. And once you deliver to one person, right? Once you deliver to one person, in as much as that person is somebody that do business very well and have business friends that do business, you not even need to like start looking for clients again, right? This person will refer you. As I said, I worked with the first project like that I worked on. That was, I think that was 2022. I can't remember, right? It's a Nigerian lady that approached me. I worked with this lady. So I first of all, they gave me somebody's work. Like they were like an agency, they were just there. So they gave me somebody's work to work, like to do, right? And then I did something. The client didn't accept it, but they accepted it. They were like, we love the idea behind this logo. So, but the person now, the owner of the brand, didn't accept it. And funny enough, they don't allow me to communicate with that lady, right? So I couldn't really understand why. But immediately I finished the first presentation and the lady rejected it. They just gave me their own projects to work on, right? So the lady gave it to me. We worked on it. We collaborated. She loved every part of the thing, like every bit, because as I said, I do carry clients along, right? So now, because of that, because I delivered, these people referred me to another person. That person referred me to another person. Another person, even till date, the referring is still going, and it's still going that way. Even till date, even on the project that I'm still on, I concluded from the same line, right? I have like two projects I recently concluded, and the one that I'm still working on that I've not finished, like that is from this lineage now. So once you are able to convince one or two persons about who you are, you don't need everybody, you must not design for everybody. When about who you are, how much you can put in, how much time and effort you can put in a project, to just make sure that their brand like stands out, then you don't need to fight again. Just be yourself, right? So if you are trying to be like every other person, that market is already saturated. Be authentic, and you will still gain the global light. Is it limelight? Right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for the fantastic answer. And there are actually two sides to it. I think you talked quite elaborately on the fourth side, but the other side too is like there are certain opportunities that those in other country has access to, but then being in Nigeria, you don't really have access to such opportunities. I think I can still talk more of it from like the programmer side, in the sense that you are competing with guys that have good infrastructures for learning, like they have access to numerous resources and all those things. So like maybe you can just add a little point to it from the side of a designer, to maybe like tools or resources that you think they should prioritize more, so that they can gain that global recognition and be able to start on that global scale.
Okay, I understand too. I understand. So you see, location always affects like how people perceive you, right? It do affect it, right? It's normal. So I was in Ibadan on July 12th. So, and somebody asked a question: why is it that designers in Ibadan are not valued as those that are in Lagos, right? And in the reply that they gave him is that one designer from Nigeria moved to UK, and because he moved to UK, she posted it, the lady posted it on his LinkedIn, and that day he got up to 50 job offers because he just changed location. So location always affects like how the opportunities you have. It's normal. But then we are not, because we are in a world that is already like the internet have made the world like a global village, like it's just a small world already. Keep showing up, right? Then also, when you're doing whatever you're doing, right, don't just be a mediocre, right? Always try to improve. Get courses, right? Look at this design. That's why I say read case studies. When you are not, see, I'm not in China, right? But if you give me project to work on any China project, I will deliver, because I've read like I've digest a lot of brand case studies on China brand, all these what is it called, cafe, and a lot of them, right? So I can actually work on them. So make sure that you're improving, make sure that you're going through, yeah, like reading case studies, know how these people do their things. Sometimes if it's possible, you have the time, work on projects that looks like foreign projects, right? This thing, that it cannot happen in Nigeria, but just do it and post it. You don't know who is looking and who is watching. Then when you are actually improving and you are competing with these people out there, then these people will actually look out for you. You get, they will come for you. They come for your expert. You just need to keep improving, right? Yeah, that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that answer. Yeah, you brought the balance to it. So moving on, let's just talk a bit about client retention and then business. So what do you do when the client wants to be too hands-on and then they start designing their own brand identity? So what I mean by this is that there are times that clients can be too involved in the project. I mean, it's their project, but there are times when they go extra, and then it's as though like they are not allowing you to be creative and to show your own professionalism when it comes to your area of expertise. So how do you deal with clients like this?
All right, so I would say that, see, prioritizing your client, yeah, is very key. That you make sure that this person is satisfied, just like Dennis said. But then, as a professional, you're not coming to like claim. See, being a professional means like you don't come out to use like your jargons, all these design this thing to come and be confusing the clients. No, you as the professional, you listen. You understand where this person is coming, because most of the time this thing is coming, this that attitude is coming from the brand, that they are very passionate about their brand, so they want the best for it. Even if it is you will always want the best, right? So now, if actually you accept to work on, like after qualifying the client and you want to work on that project, right, you will be patient with them, right? You will be very patient with them. And then you will also educate them when possible, or you listen to know what they want. One thing I will say is that this thing, before I used to think that, see, I am the professional here, right? You need to listen to me too. This thing you are saying will not work. But at the end, I started to view it from another perspective. So, for instance, now, as I am, if there's two clothes and I like one and the other one is very, very expensive, but I like the one that is cheap, right? Do you think that if I wear the one that is expensive, that I will be comfortable enough and bold enough when I have the one that I like most? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Did you get the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you take it again?
Okay, I said if you have two clothes now to wear, and then there's one that you prefer, even though it is cheap, right? And then there's another one that you don't like, but is expensive. If you are forced to put on the expensive one, will you be bold enough in it, like when you present yourself out there?
No, I won't, because
Okay,
it
but
was not my
if you wear the one that you really want, you will be happy, you'll be bold enough out there, right?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
now I want to tell you that whenever you are designing for a client, see, you have to understand that a an identity actually works, right? One, it has to follow a particular design trend, which, like a particular design style, which you as a professional is there to get. Two, the clients have to believe in that project, in that identity that you're giving to them, for them to be able to promote it like passionately without any shame, right? So now, when you are designing, just know that you are designing for your client and the target audience, not yourself. So now, when you have this thing in mind, right, knowing that, see, the client don't believe in this thing, they won't be able to advertise it, to push it, to get to where it's supposed to do the work it's supposed to do. Then you listen to the client, right? So, but now you educate the client where you are supposed to educate the client, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
You educate the clients where you're supposed to educate the clients. Tell them, see, this is what works. The idea is to find balance from on what the clients want, what is suitable for the audience, and then what is working in the design industry. That's why you are a professional. It's not like to claim or to stand on one position and say that I'm a professional, I have to take all the decision. No, you have to consider the clients and consider the industry and the target audience. Then you now as a professional will now come as a designer. This is what works. You know that there are a lot of things that works in alignment and all of that. You bring all of them together, like you take them into consideration while designing. You don't just go off on your own and make a design decision and expect a client to actually work with it fully. No, it doesn't work that way, right? So yeah, that's what I have to say here.
Thank you very much for that answer. You actually did answered it well, and you also balance the part of coming from you wanting to show your creativity, because at the end of the day, the whole thing does not end with only your client. It's a product that will be put out there, and when it is good, people will celebrate it, and when it is the other way around as well, it tells on your own part as a designer. So you really brought the balance to the client side and then the professional side. So thank you very much for that. So moving on, I think this will be like the second to the last question. And please, if you have any question, you can just drop it in the chat section so that we can take that very fast. So what books, course, or resources has been most valuable in helping you develop your design thinking and identity?
I was saying that actually I'm a self-taught designer, right? But there are courses that I jumped on that really helped me, that are really key. And I made YouTube as of then my go-to, right? I try to see how different person approach design, right? I practiced a lot, right? Then some of the courses that actually changed my perspective, because at the early stage of my design, I was thinking that of this journey, I was thinking that design is all about, okay, the brand initials should form something that we stand as the logo for the brand, right? So, but as I start going, I notice that there are abstract logos. You don't really need to put in the initials. It's not a must that is there, but if it is there, it's fine, right? There are a lot of things that I learned while I started taking courses, like relating with other designers and all of that. So what actually the course that actually helped me, that opened my mind to storytelling in design, is one course by Sagi Haviv. I think, yeah, Sagi. I don't know whether you guys know this man. Hello.
No, the name, not, yes, I'm trying to think. The name does not ring a bell actually, but I'm trying to check.
Okay, I think they designed the US Open logo. A lot of projects. They are the one that designed the simplest logo ever in the world. I think it's just a rectangle, yellow rectangle. National something. I can't remember. No problem. Along the line, if I'm able to like get the course again, because my drive actually crashed recently. Maybe I'll just forward it to you guys, maybe James, so that you guys can go through it. But that course is a very like, it's helped open my mind to thinking like how design works, what actually works, how you even though they are agency now, they are big people, they don't consider the client's perspective like that. But when you are working, you know that you're working with founders, not sorry about the noise. So what I'm saying in essence is that, so this course actually helped open my eyes to storytelling with logo, right? If you see some of the projects they did there, you'll be wowed. You see how they use a simple rectangle to tell a story. This story, like, I mean, a lot of projects that they worked on, and this guy will walk you through all of them, their thinking process and all of that, right? So now that course is what changed my approach to design, and I sincerely wish every designer we get their hands on that course and go through it properly. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. So I would appreciate just getting like more info on the course. So just before I maybe take any question if you have from the audience, I think it will not be fair enough if I don't touch up on, you know, the AI aspect, as you know that the current evolution is delving towards artificial intelligence. So how is the rise of AI design tools affecting brand identity work, and how do you think designers should respond to that?
All right. For this particular question, right, there have been a lot of noise that AI will replace so blah 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 and all of that. And one thing I would tell designer is that they don't need to fear, right? They need to adapt. You don't need to fear, you need to adapt, right? So one thing is, I will still tell you, sometimes most of these clients that are approaching us for works is because they are confused. They don't even know what works and what doesn't work. And then how will somebody that don't even understand what he's doing give AI the prompt that will help him, like help clarify him? So human need human to solve problems. You understand? So along the line, at the same time, right? So as a designer, what to actually do is to learn how to use this, make these AIs your friend. Learn how to use it to improve yourself, right? Learn how to use them. Like currently, like I use banana AI a lot, like to generate pictures that I can use for my mockup. I don't use just the normal mockup that much anymore. Sometimes there are brands that I work with. I will know, like, to find the mockup is hard. I'll just use a prompt and generate something from banana AI, and then I'll be using it. So, and if I don't know how to work with it, it will be something else for me, right? So learn how to use this AI, understand them, learn how to prompt them, right? Make them your friend, learn how to navigate your way around it. It's not going to stop. You see, when it comes to problem solving, human being needs to be there, right, to solve that problem. Recently, there's a project I worked on around September or so. Before the client reached out to me, he already prompted AI to generate a logo. Then about 4 logos that I don't even know what to put, like how to explain them. Then this client was like, "That can I do something better? Blah 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 blah." Then I just showed the client my portfolio. He just went straight to pay 50% of the amount we discussed to see what I can do. Then on presenting the first concept that I have, he was blown out. He was like, "Okay, fine. I don't even know which one to choose, right? Okay, give me some times. I have to send the document to him and give him some, like, all of them, almost all of them there in the team have to, like, go through it and make a decision. Then it was hard for them to choose one. Then when they finally settled for one, I did the whole presentation and presented till today. This man is sharing my number to his colleagues, right? Because he become my brand advocate. He now believe that I can actually do something that is bigger than AI. This man today, we never tell anybody to go to AI to generate a logo, because you already proved him wrong, right? So, and that is how it is. So just know how to use these things, because they will help make your work like easy and faster and more professional. Especially this banana AI generates very realistic image that you can change to mock up on your Photoshop, right? So just get used to them and then make them your friend and start using them. Don't panic. Keep improving yourself. And I mean, it will be hard for AI to replace you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that answer. It's a very wonderful one, I must say, because there's been the fear of, oh, AI is here to take everyone's job. But I think from what you said, what really matters is how well you are able to, you know, build, or how well you're able to maximize AI to improve your work standard, rather than seeing it as a threat that is here to take your job. So thank you very much. This is to Mr. Dennis. So, how do you handle creative dry spells and moments when you feel disconnected from your design identity? Like, let's assume you are working on a project and then it looks as though the streams of inspiration is not just flowing, or it's not looking like what you'd have done on a normal day. So, how do you handle cases like this?
All right. Thank you very much for that profound question. So my solution is usually preventive. Before anything else, this is what I mean. So essentially, you're just talking about when someone has, what we call creative block, or some other people call it creative drought, right?
Yes.
Whereby you're designing and nothing is flowing. So first off, I like to prevent that from even happening, right? So it does happen to me every now and then, but like not as it used to be. And here's what I did to, prevent it from happening. Number one is have a lifestyle of daily exposing yourself to creative designs and ideas. It helps a lot. So for me, I don't think there's a day that goes by without me looking at a good design that I like or that I love. It never happens, right? I'm always looking at designs. So I get inspirations from platforms like Mobin, Pinterest, and Mobin and Pinterest. They're like my top two right now. Then Dribble, Behance, and the likes, right? So I'm always exposing myself to design. Many times when we even say we have creative block, what we're saying is that there is nothing in our memory that that is creative, because we have not exposed ourselves to, a creative elements that we can use to solve this particular design problem in front of us, right? So there are people, because of how much they have worked on fintech products, seen fintech creative designs, when you give them a fintech product to work on, they would be able to do it without stress. Now you give that same person an healthcare product to work on, now the person will probably be struggling because he probably has not been exposed to a lot of healthcare applications, designs, and the likes, right? So number one, that's how you prevent it, right? Now, say that happens, right? You have done your best to prevent it, and it still happens. I would say a couple of things. Now, some things might sound nice, and some others might not. But please, just take this with a pinch of salt. I would start with the one that isn't nice, right? So okay, now let me start with the nice one, right? So when I say the one that isn't nice, it will be okay. Sometimes when you're experiencing that creative block, you take a walk, right? Just take a walk, leave your laptop, take a walk, do something else, right? Sometimes when your brain is overloaded with, work, design, and all that, it's advisable that you just do something else, something very different. Maybe you pick up a book, read a book, watch animes, go see a movie, or maybe play games if you have games, or paint. Just do something that you do not normally do, right? Take a walk, to call a friend, and all that. Because at that moment, probably all you need to do is relax. Now, another thing, speaking of relaxation, is one thing that can cause creative block is when you're not well rested, right? According to the doctors, they advise that we sleep for at least 8 hours. Now, I don't do that. I believe the doctors, but I don't believe that it's necessary, because if you sleep for 8 hours, you would have slept more than, I've forgotten the percentage now, but a huge chunk of your life, you spent it sleeping. But yeah, get some good rest. And that's why I always advise, when you're working, if you're a 9 to 5er, and that's why there's always a break, at least for most companies, right? Take a break, like 30 minutes, just rest. Take a nap, take a short nap. You'll be surprised how a simple nap can solve all your creative block problem. Another thing that I usually do is, if you have the luxury of time, you can pause the design process entirely to the next day, right? Sometimes just coming back to look at your designs with a fresh lens, a new day, you just get some inspirational ideas. And now this is one thing I also say is, every now and then I find myself praying to God for just give me the something that I like to call the spirit of creativity, right? If you read the book of Genesis, you will see whereby some people were giving those people working on the Ark of Covenant for Moses, that the Bible says that he gave them spirit of craftsmanship, right? Which I like to call creativity. So sometimes it also helps as well. I just say, God, just give me creative ideas, and I just find out that coincidentally, it just happens that I stumble on designs that kind of like solves the exact problem I'm going through. So I think that's also something very, very important to consider. So in my opinion, these are some of the ways. Oh yes, the hard one that I spoke about. Now, I like to think about it this way. If you pay a plumber, for instance, to fix your toilets, and the plumber tells you, oh, I don't feel creative, or I don't feel inspired right now to do that, you probably be pissed. Same thing as, for instance, I had an issue with my car recently. I had to pay someone to fix it, and the guy fixed it, right? So as a designer, because sometimes designers, we like to think that we're artists. We're not artists. Design is a job. There's actually a book called Design is a Job. We must understand that we are being paid to do our job. So whatever we have to go through to make it done, we have to get it done, right? So all this force over, oh, I'm not feeling so creative today, I'm having some creative block, try to reduce that from happening. I mean, I've given you ways to prevent it, right? But yeah, essentially, I know that's not something that people like to hear, but we must hold ourselves to high standards, that we are, people that have been paid to get a job done. So we have to do the job, okay? Right. So that's pretty much my answer to that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that amazing answer. I like the fact that you balanced it. You brought the balance between the two sides. So thank you for that. Moving on, I'd like to ask, I think quite a number of people experience this at the early stage of their career, and it's, if you've ever experienced what they call imposter syndrome, especially maybe when your design identity is still forming and you're just trying to put something out there, be unique and all those things, and how did you work through it?
Sorry, can you come again with a question? I'm not sure I understood it.
Okay. I said at the early stage of career, certain people experience what we call imposter syndrome, where they feel like, oh, am I even good enough? Like, do you think this thing is presentable enough? All those kind of things. And so I said, I don't know if you experienced something of such, maybe when you're still trying to form your design identity, be unique, do something good, and then how do you walk through it?
Okay. So the truth is that at every level, everybody goes through imposter syndrome, right? In fact, the fact you have imposter syndrome shows that you care about what you're doing. It actually shows you care about it, because you will not get imposter syndrome for something that you don't care about. Like sometimes when I'm dancing, I'm like, I'm not a professional dancer, so I shouldn't know how to dance. But so imposter syndrome usually comes when, okay, you're a designer, you should know how to design. So when you're not able to deliver the quality in your head that you think you should, it makes you feel like, oh, should I put this out there? So few things to help with that. Number one, as a newbie designer, I'll start with newbies. You must understand that you're just starting out. We don't expect you to be good, right? You're just learning the ropes. Yes, you are not meant to be good. You're just learning it, okay? So give yourself that grace to make mistakes, to not be the perfect person, right? So you need to understand that you actually need to give yourself grace. Now, second thing is, once you realize that everybody faces imposter syndrome, even the best of us, yours truly, every now and then, although my imposter syndrome is that, so there's a level of design that I've already shown to people. So I'm always worried, this design I'm about to post now, does it meet up to the other designs I've been putting out there, right? So everybody faces the imposter syndrome. You're not the only one. It's normal. It's not something that you should feel bad about, right? And one thing that I also do to help me out is, before I post the work, I have a group of people that's 2 or 3 of them. I send my designs to them for them to give me feedback, how I can make it better, right? So now that helps, because if I send my designs to them and they're like, oh, this design is so nice, this design is so good, it validates that, okay, this is a good design, so I can post this, right? So you'll be surprised how much it helps. Now, if they tell me that the design is not so good, right, I now know that, okay, let me work on it before I now put it out there finally. So that these are some of the things that I've done to like just help with imposter syndrome. But then again, I would end by saying this: if you're facing imposter syndrome, don't feel bad, because again, it's something that everybody goes through. Even the best of the best, like I'm sure someone as good as Ronaldo is, I think Ronaldo is the best player, by the way. Nobody asked me, but I just felt like saying it. I'm very sure that he probably goes through imposter syndrome as well. So it's a normal thing. It's not a bad thing if you have imposter syndrome. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that answer. This is, by the way, actually. So there's this saying which I believe that there's a bit of element of truth there. So I'll just like to just pose it to you that there are times that what certain persons are facing is not imposter syndrome. It's actually that you're not good. Like, I mean, it's not like this thing is not up to, like, you're not good. I don't know. Do you believe that there can be a case like that? And how would you talk to someone that, okay, telling you that I think I'm facing imposter syndrome, but then you know that I think you're not good enough, like you have to improve on yourself. Like, what would be your advice to such person? Or how does the person even come to that reality of that you're not good? I think you have to improve more. I don't know. Do you get my question?
Yes, I think I do. So the thing is, like I said, as a newbie designer, this shouldn't be a problem to you, because you're not meant to be good. You're working towards becoming good. Now, um, um, so if truly you're not good at what you do, then I just feel like that person just needs to be open-minded to receive feedback and just know, okay, you're not yet good. You just need to put in a lot of work, right? But usually I feel like I just feel it just depends on what you tell people. I feel like even if you have said, I feel like a lot, even if you're not good, like really you're not good, it's not something you should feel bad about, because you should just see it as a feedback to work in towards being good at what you do. As long as somebody knows sincerely that I'm not good, but I want to get better, I feel like that person is in a good place. The problem usually only comes from when this person, you're not good, but you are ignorant to the fact that you're not good, or you are surrounded by people that are telling you lies. Because I feel, and I've been guilty of this before. A friend of mine, gave me a song to play, his music, and I was like, bro, this is so good. And to be honest, that was like the worst song I've ever heard in my life. But the thing is, in a bit not to hurt people's feelings, I've realized that we don't tell them the truth. But why that is so counterintuitive is because at the end of the day, they will still find out one way or the other that they're not good. And it's going to be from the users or the people that are going to listen to it. And I promise you, that is even more painful. So I think it's advisable that we should just tell people the truth, let them know the truth on time, right? But yeah, so if you're not good, work towards being good. I don't think it's really a big deal. Just work towards being better, and that's really all that matters at the end of the day. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I think the issue is majorly when you don't even see that I need to improve on it, because there are quite a number of people that hide under the shadow of imposter syndrome. But then they should see that I'm not good and just build on it. So thank you very much for that. So moving on, what role do you think mentorship plays in helping you understand and build yourself in, the design industry as a designer? And what would be your advice to someone that is trying to, scale up as a newbie designer, or as someone just coming up in the design industry, as to the role of mentorship?
Okay. First off, I think mentorship is very important, but at the same time, I feel mentorship is also largely overrated. This is what I think. I mean, mentor myself, I have a lot of people that I teach and that are under me. Mentorship is important because you need someone that you can, you can, a shoulder in which you can, what's the word now? You can lean on and all that, people that have gone ahead of you. And it's also a very scriptural principle where you have people that have, paved the way and all that. Now, why I think is overrated is because some people they don't work hard. They rely too much on mentorship to do basic things. So sometimes when people come online to ask me, how can I do this? I'm like, did you ask ChatGPT? There are some things that, and this is also something to consider, that ChatGPT now is also can be considered as a mentor. But that's by the way. So I think that before your mentor should be to talk on things that like are advanced, not just basic things that you can just probably get by yourself, and you want to ask somebody, a mentor, to get it done for you, right? That's you being lazy. I feel like you should give only things that are, up there to your to mentors, right? And I also feel like mentors would help you a lot, because even me, my own design style, I was mentored, and I think people should also know that there's something called mentoring from afar. You don't have to reach out to somebody directly for them to be your mentor. You can be inspired by them, read their books. That's a form of mentorship, right? And for designers now, get all the designs that that you like about your mentor, replicate them. That is also mentorship, right? So it's not until the person is talking to you physically before you say that this person is your mentor. And there's also even a way to go about getting a mentor, but I feel like that's a discussion for another day and another time. So yes, I think mentorship is very, very important. It helps you a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much my answer on that.
All right. Thank you very much for that. So moving on, are there tools or software that has become so integral to your design process, and like they are more of like part of your design process already?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yes, 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 yes. Of course, Figma is the tool that I always use.
Yeah.
For AI tools, Gemini, ChatGPT, of course, Lovable, and sometimes Google Stitch, right? So these are tools. And then when it comes to documentation, I like to use platforms like Grammarly, right? And when it comes to PRDs and just workflows, linear, right? So yeah, pretty much those. I mean, if there are others, I probably can't remember them now. But yeah, these are tools that I find myself using. Yeah, Illustrator as well, and Photoshop every now and then. I'm shuffling between Illustrator and Photoshop. So yeah.
Okay, okay. This is by the way though. So you mentioned Gemini as part of the tools that you use. Do you think Nano Banana is if not the best or but one of the best image generator as of now? Or do you have like what's your opinion as to that?
To be honest, I don't think I have a very valid opinion on that one because uh I don't think I've tried a lot of others, right? So yeah, I don't really have an opinion on that one. But I just feel like whatever works for you. Sometimes I use Nano Banana and it doesn't give me what I want. So I don't know if you guys know about Figma Make. So with Figma Make, you can access different LLMs, right? You can access Nano Banana, and you can also access GPT Image 1 Mini, Google Imagine 4, right? So I feel like sometimes when I using Nano Banana, it gives me what I want. Sometimes it doesn't, right? So it just, I think at the end of the day, what really matters is really the prompt. The prompt, no matter how great your AI tool is, if you've not given it the right prompt, you probably will not be able to get the very best of things. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for that. So I would like that we talk a bit about the Nigerian context and then the cultural identity when it comes to like the design industry, because Nigeria is a very unique country. So what are like challenges that Nigerian designer face, or maybe that you can talk about personally when you're trying to establish a design identity in a market that sometimes undervalues design? Like at times you meet with different kind of people, and certain things that you hold in high esteem might not really matter to them. So how do you what are the challenges I think Nigerian designers faced when they are trying to establish a design identity?
Of course, to the very basic infrastructures, right? Like not having stable power supply, stable internet supply, probably not having good enough gadgets, right? In a world like Nigeria, where I think Nigeria is a third world country now, if I'm right. I'm not so sure, but where getting tools are seen as a luxury as opposed to being normal. Getting a laptop in a sane country should not even be a problem. But in Nigeria, of course, it is. So you find out that people are not using the very best of tools. People are not using the very best of tools, right? So of course, although I do believe it's not about the tool, but you would also not be lying if you said how that the tool really impacts the designer's design outcome, right? So then of course confidence. I feel like the average designer is not so confident, even if they're very good at their skill, but because of the minimum wage and what most of the clients that they talk to charge and all that. So it might even make you feel like you're not worthy of what you think you're charging. I feel like the solution to that is just simply doing a research on what people abroad are charging with your skill set, what they're paying junior designers. You'll be surprised then. So yes, and also understanding. I feel like understanding your craft for what it is, right? Like really understanding your craft. That's how you get to a point where you can charge what you dream of. The difference between you and charging what you actually dream of. So really understanding your craft and the importance. So you know the value of what you do. What do you bring to the table? Right. So of course, I also think that finding a voice as a Nigerian designer isn't the most easy thing, right? But it's not impossible, but it's not so easy as it is maybe in other part of the world. So yeah, these are just some of the challenges. I'm sure that there are a whole lot of challenges, but I think I'll just stop here.
All right, all right. Thank you very much for that. Talking about salary, I think I came across and here it was recently. I've forgotten the name. I think I salary something something. But then what it does is like you type in your job title and then it gives you the salary range. And I was quite surprised at the salaries that is the expected salary for certain roles and what the current job market in Nigeria is paying. So it's a real struggle. All right, so thank you very much for that answer. And
I would love to get that site on. It sounds like a good one.
okay, yeah, I think so too. I think it's high salary something. I'll just try and check it out. And let me see. Yeah, isalary.net.
Is it HIGH or?
No, hi, like the normal hi. I'll send to the chat section.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Right. So moving on, what opportunities do you think exist in Nigeria right now for designers to build identities that can, put them on a global scales and help them compete internationally?
So I feel like number one, you could consider working on a project that actually goes live. It's something that even currently working on right now. A project that goes live. Because what it does for you is, if you're lucky enough and people start using that globally, you've been recognized globally as a designer. So consider doing that. Another opportunity, also considering what's the word now? Selling stuff, right? So you can decide to sell stuff, maybe sell your designs or sell your framer templates, right? So that is also one way you can be recognized. And then, of course, putting yourself out there. I think that one cannot be overemphasized, to be honest, because if you want to get discovered, then you have to make sure that you put yourself in situations where you can get discovered, right, by people. So yeah. I think these are some of the opportunities. And at the end of the day, just be good at what you do. Anybody that is good at what they do, they will stand out. It's a given. It's a given, and it's just a given. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And maybe are there like design communities that you think designers in Nigerians can join that would, help them connect and see more about what it takes to even show up on a global scale?
So I used to have a lot of design communities before, but no, I don't not any much more now. Because right now I'm just focused on building my own community of designers, right? But it's not free, so it's not something that's, because I think it will be beneficial to people, that something that they can get free. So maybe I'll be able to answer that question in a couple of in a few weeks time. When I get the answer, I'll probably suggest some to you guys. All right. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I've sent the link so you can just check it out. So moving on, how important do you think a designer's portfolio is in communicating their design identity and authenticity? And how often do you update your portfolio?
Hmm. I think the portfolio is very, very important, because that's like the first avenue that people get to see you, right? Be it your personal portfolio site or hosting on other sites like Behance and Dribble, right? And social media, in a way, is also a portfolio platform where you put your stuff out there. And that's why I advise people not to, because I see designers, they post memes, they post videos of stuff that are not even design related. It should,
Yeah.
when a client comes to your page on social media, let's use X for example, the first three posts they should see should be your design. Your pinned tweet should be your design, right? So that is really more matters. In fact, I personally think that your design is more important than pictures of yourself. So if you are posting more pictures of yourself than design, think that's a problem, right? So I think portfolio, what portfolio does is that through your portfolio, you can be judged. You know how they say judge a book by its cover. And one of those things is through a person's portfolio. I can see, okay, this is how this person think, this is how this person approaches problem solving and stuff like that. So yeah, portfolios are very important, but you just need to make sure that you must look at your portfolio and ask yourself, does this really communicate who I am as a person, my values and my excellence? So that's why I don't mind, even if it means taking 3 months to create a good portfolio, please go ahead. However, also note that thing you can improve, because the second question you asked is, how often do you update your portfolio? Now, I think as often as you have a good project, right? Again, your portfolio does not need to be clouded with too many designs. Just your top maybe 3 or top 4 designs per time. But of course, you can add so many, because there are design portfolios like Pentagram that they have thousands of stuff on their portfolios, but that's because they are an agency, right? So they are allowed to do stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much for that fantastic answer. I think I just have like about 2 to 3 more questions. But this one might be a bit personal, but I would just like if you can just talk about it on a more general scale. And that was like that one question that you asked during client consultation that helps you determine if it is a right fit or not.
Hmm. Hmm, 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 hmm. Um, so this is actually a very good question, and there are many thoughts in my head. One thing I do to know if a client is a good fit is I even want to know, can you pay my fee? So I talk about pricing very early because I've had situations whereby, back and forth, talking, sharing ideas, only for the clients not to move forward with the whole design thing that they are doing. So I talk about pricing early. So if you can afford me, you continue. If you can't afford me, then let's end the conversations there. Then understanding how much a client values the project is also a big one for me. I don't want to work for a client that doesn't value the work, because what happens is that they will probably not take it seriously. They are the ones that can ghost you for 1 week, and then they will not be like, oh, come back. And so you need to find out how much value does this client give to this work. And you can tell by looking at them, uh or like rather hearing them, hearing what they are saying, and really understanding. you know so for instance, I've worked with clients that if you're asking them questions, they're angry. Like, they're like, you're asking me too much question. I'm like, bro, like, if you really want these things to work, you should be able to answer as many questions as possible to make sure that this thing works. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So
Yes.
I feel like these are just some of the ways. So maybe you give a client a souvenir to fill, right? A questionnaire rather, and they are not feeling it. They're like, oh, this is too stressful. It's like me now. I want to work on a logo. I will take my time to make sure that it is perfect. And sometimes perfection means that you'll be able to answer a lot of questions, right? So yeah, that's how some of the ways I know when a client is a good fit for me.
Okay, okay. All right. So thank you very much for the answer. And I even like the way you not just talk about it from your own end, but other designers who can apply it. So there's been recent talks around AIs and all those things. And I think lately I've been seeing generative AIs that can help build designs, like come up with design. I think there's one, I've forgotten the name. I have like about two. One is Google, and there's another one like that that helps come up with design and all those things. Do you think it's actually a threat to designers, or what's your view on AI in the design field?
Okay. So I feel like it depends, right? So it's actually a threat to junior designers and upcoming designers that are not fast with learning, because some of the things that a junior designer can do, I can probably get it done with AI. Now, the limitation of AI in terms of generating designs is that the designs doesn't look really good yet. It still looks, in my opinion, very, it could be better. I would say that it could be better, to be very honest, right? So if you are a designer that you pay attention to details, you are excellent in your design, I don't think that will be able to take the job from you, at least not yet. So what I see it as is a collaboration, because even a CEO of a company will probably still pay you to use AI to work on designs, because they don't have the time to do it themselves, right? So I don't think AI will take the job of designers, but AI will take the job of designers who do not adapt or utilize AI to improve and increase their workflow, right? So that's just my opinion.
Okay, okay. Well, you said maybe not yet. So I don't know. And we know that AIs are they learn fast, and most times the certain companies even employ humans to like train those AI models. So looking at the few years to come, do you think there is a chance that AIs can actually take over designers' job? Maybe not totally.
Well, one thing is for sure, like you said, AI is moving very fast. But
Yes.
according to the stats I checked, design jobs are still very much safe from AI. But again, we don't know how things are going to be in the nearest future. For instance, photographers, I'm sure a lot of their clients may have left because now you can take birthday shoots with AI, right? So
Yeah.
what we consider that these things is going to be affected by um, everything we do will be affected by AI. And that is why we must upskill to a point that we can, because see, I feel that there are level of creativity that AI has not seen yet, because AI only does what it has learned. But you can come up with ideas that has never been created before. Is that not what the Bible was trying to say by what eyes have not seen or ears have heard? So a designer that is really in touch with his creativity, right, and always evolving, is one that would, even if, because to be honest, we are not ruling the fact that AI can get to that point that it becomes so good that it can even begin to get creative ideas that has not been done before. But until then, right, I'm just going to leave a caveat for now. Until then we can have that conversation of if AI will take your job or not.
All right, thank you very much for that. So I used to have the opinion before too that I think one of the safest niche in tech should be design, because most time I try to use AIs to build UI as a front end developer, but the response I always get that I'm just like AI is nowhere close to taking a designer's job, but just seeing the recent development. But yeah, let's just see how it plays out. But I like the fact that you said at times I think upskilling and don't just do something natural, like don't just do something general. Try to be more creative, like let your work stand out. So thank you very much for that answer.
Yeah.
So last question for now, or from my hand. I would like you to give like a suggestion. I think you've mentioned a couple of books, right? But I'll just like if you can just go over like maybe books, courses, or resources that has been valuable in helping you, build yourself in the design, or maybe generally just for the community's sake and those that will come across the video.
So books every designer should read, in my opinion, is one, Don't Make Me Think is a very good book. Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. Then Still Like an Artist is also a very good book. I think that one is by Austin Kleon. Show Your Work is also a very good book. Um, Design of Everyday Things, I think that one is by Don Norman, is also a very good book talking about affordance and all those things. Then Hooked is also a very good book. Refactoring UI, very, very good. That one is very good. Or Refactoring UI or Practical UI. They are basically the same, with just a little twitch, but both of them, any one of them is good. Then Design is a Job, or I don't know if it's Design is a Job or the Business of Design. I think it's Design is a Job. Let me check my library. It's also a very good book. It teaches you things on like pricing, being able to give an invoice, signing contracts. Yes, Design is a Job. Design is a Job. Then there's another book, The Business of Design. But that one I've not read it, so I can't even really say if it's a good book or not. But I think it will be a good book because the writer of the book is somebody. I'm trying to see the image. Okay, no, I don't think I've seen this book before. But it's probably a good book as well, Balancing Creativity and Productivity. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much for now, like those are the ones that I can remember.
Okay, thank you very much for that. What about courses? Like, is there any course that you would advise that every designer should check out?
Yeah, so for courses, like, so I have a design academy. That's the only one I can advise because I'm the one running that, and we always go the extra mile to ensure that our students get the best. So yeah, that is it. That is it. That is it.
Right. Thank you for that. And for the books, I don't know, are they paid or free, or is there any way we can get some of those books from you,
I
just so we
just
can read
I
our
feel like books, just type them on Google. Some of them are paid. Most of them are actually you have to buy them. But I think sometimes just writing Google and PDF You might see some available versions online.
Okay, okay. All right. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for the amazing answer so far.
Do this with us.
For staying with us all through the session. We really appreciate that. So I would just like to just ask, is there anyone that has a question here just before we round up the session? Okay, we've stayed quite a bit long on the call, so I would not want us to delay longer. So if you have any question, you can just do well to send it to the community group, and if we need to get it across to any of our guests, we'll do that, and the answers will be relayed to you. So thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Once again, I also want to say a big thank you to Mr. Dennis. Thank you very much. And just before we close, so this is Bezalel Design Academy, and just like I mentioned while introducing, we are academy that is committed to building and raising creatives that stands out in the creative world. And we have quite a number of impact projects that we've done. We have turning addiction into career, the Digi Transform, and also we have an active community of amazing designers. So if you are not on our community and you're watching this video right now, the link to the community will be pasted just in the description for the video. So do well to join in, as there are a lot of amazing things that you would gain from the community. So we have our social media pages as well. You can check us out on LinkedIn at Bezalel Design Academy. You can connect with us on Facebook, and you can also check us out on Instagram. So, and as well, very, very important, we also have a YouTube channel where we upload educational, so and a recap or the recording of our webinar. So you can check out the previous webinars that we've had, and as well just check out other interesting things that are there. So can do well to join our community. And also we have a graphics design mastery course that's currently running. So you can check out that on our website at bezalelgroup.org.
Hello, everybody. Mr. James, please let me know when your network is good, when you're back. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for the value you dished out. The session has been very insightful, and I'm sure everybody on the call learned a lot, a lot. And those that will be watching on YouTube and on our various social media platforms later, they would gain even probably much more than those that joined the call. So my counsel is this: for those that joined the call, don't think you've heard it all. Please go back to our YouTube channel to listen again, and feel free to share your lessons in the comment section. We will be there to engage with you. Thank you so much. Mr. James, I think we can close now. It's been a long time. All right, so let's close with prayer. Dear Jesus, we thank you for this evening. Thank you for our panelists.
Thank you for our panel.
Thank you for everybody who joined the call, and those that will be listening later. We pray that you anoint their skill, you anoint their tools, and grant every one of us great speed, great understanding, and great clients that will pay kingly in the name of Jesus. Thank you, great God. In Jesus' mighty name, we have prayed. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again. Bye. Cheers.